a new listing has appeared on Amazon for a Kirby game in 2019. Now, as an Amazon listing, this doesn't necessarily mean it's happening, although Amazon listings have had a history, at least, of coming true at some point. I'm not sure why it would be listed here on Amazon before an official announcement, but it does look like there potentially might be a Kirby game coming in 2019. Now, some of you might be saying, fake news. How could there be a Kirby game in 2019? We just had Kirby Star Allies in, 2018. Well, you must not know the history of the Kirby series very much, do you? So, Kirby's Dreamland released in 1992. Kirby's Adventure, the next game, released in 1993. Kirby's Dreamland 2 came 2 years later in 1995, followed up by Kirby Superstar 1 year later in 1996. Oh wait, Kirby's Dreamland? That was 1997. Then we had a nice little 3-year break to Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, releasing in 2000. Then we had an oddball 2-year break from that game to Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland in 2002, and another 2-year break to Kirby and the Amazing Year in 2004. Kirby Squeak Squad also came out 2 years later in 2006, as did Kirby Superstar Ultra in 2008. And then Kirby's Return to Dreamland in 2011. Now, at this point, you're thinking, well, look at all those 2 to 3 year gaps. Why would there be a Kirby game next year? Oh, but then Kirby's Dream Collection Special Edition lands in 2012. Then we had a 2-year break to Kirby Triple Deluxe, and then a 2-year break until Kirby Planet Robo, and then finally a 2-year break until Kirby Star Allies. So what am I hinting at here? It's not unusual for a Kirby game to come out a year later. And lately, Kirby games have had 2-year breaks. So you could argue there isn't a Kirby game coming until 2020. But with a Kirby game listed for 2019, it really would not be shocking if a new Kirby game came out in 2019. So this is where I have to ask you guys, do you want a new Kirby game, and what do you want that Kirby game to be? Now, we've heard some rumors, just rumors, that Kirby Star Allies was a bit of a rushed Kirby game, that this wasn't like the big Kirby game for Switch. They were really working on it. It was more like a 3DS title that they kind of just slapped together and rushed along to get a Kirby title out, which isn't surprising because there are certain Kirby entries. I don't want to name any in particular, but there are certain Kirby entries that feel like, they might have been rushed, might have been slapped together, might have been just thrown out there. And by the way, I actually really enjoy Kirby Star Allies and think it's a fine game. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's not a bad game. It's just all right. And as I sit back and I look at the Kirby series here, at least the mainline one, because Epic Yarn wasn't included in there, since Epic Yarn is considered a spin-off, just like Kirby's Air Ride and all those other ones. And if we start including the spin-offs, and man, there's practically a Kirby game every single year. I just think that it won't be surprising to see a Kirby game next year. The question is, what direction would that Kirby game go? Do we want another like Kirby, like the 64 version, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards? Do we want something like that, more in the 3D space? Do we want another side-scroller? What do we want the next Kirby game to be? And I think that is the discussion we should be having. I think back, obviously, I'm a little biased. My first Kirby game I ever played was Kirby's Dreamland on Game Boy, and still to this date, it is my favorite Kirby game. But every time we see the tree, which you guys all know about that boss and all this stuff, it just feels like it's just retreading and retreading and retreading, which is what Kirby tends to do. Even Return to Dreamland, I just wasn't the biggest fan of that on Wii. I know some people really loved it. I just wasn't a big fan. So I think I would like to see Kirby kind of like Breath of the Wild, kind of like even Let's Go. If you're going to retread, do it in a fun, unique way we've never seen before. If you're not going to retread, I want to see a Breath of the Wild. I want to see you massively overhauling what Kirby is. And if Kirby Star Allies was that rushed game like I have heard rumors about, well, that means that they were working on this Kirby game while that Kirby game was being made. And if that's the case, there's a potential this Kirby game could be exciting. Now, again, this isn't confirmed. It's just an Amazon listing, which I will have linked below. You can't pre-order it or anything. It's just listed. It's 2019, and we don't really have any other information. And if there is going to be a Kirby game announced, it would be next year. Even if it's not for 2019, it's for 2020. There probably was going to be a Kirby game announced next year anyways. but I'm still really, really excited by the prospect of a new Kirby game, especially if it's one they're really putting some talent behind. And you could argue it makes a lot of sense to bring out a Kirby game next year, because who is the star of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Why, it's none other than Kirby, the only one that could not be quote-unquote killed by the big baddie in the World of Light mode. Yes, folks, I've said it before in the title of a video. You know, Kirby is not the hero we deserve, but it's the one we have. And Kirby is, you know, Masahiro Sakurai is one of his greatest creations, and it would not be surprising that following up Smash Bros. With Kirby in a starring role to see another Kirby game launch next year, especially as they seem to be kind of, you know, wrapping down the Kirby Star Allies content, which was mostly just adding new friends and stuff like that. So seeing that kind of toned down a bit makes a lot of sense, at least to me, for another Kirby game to land on the market. But again, I want to hear what you guys want down in the comments below. I mentioned a few ideas I have, and obviously, more importantly, do you want a new Kirby game next year? After all, we already have a pretty jam-packed 2019, but, you know, I wouldn't mind a Kirby game. How about you? Anyways, folks, remember to enter our Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate giveaway with the gleam.io link down in the description. I am Nathaniel Rufflejance from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do. And if you dislike the video, that's fine. Hit that dislike button. Subscribe for more content, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.